Buying a buy-to-let property is a big step, but managing it well is what makes it truly successful. I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process to let and manage your property, from preparing before you buy all the way to reletting when a tenant moves out. I'm Tom from Source, and at the last count, we have successfully moved in over 1,468 tenants. I've learned what works and what doesn't when it comes to letting and managing your buy-to-let. In this video, I'll share a straightforward process to keep your new investment property profitable. We'll go through 6 steps: choosing your level of service, getting your property ready for tenants, securing an offer, getting tenants checked in, managing the property, and preparing for reletting. Let's jump in. When it comes to letting agents, you've generally got 2 main services: tenant find only or fully managed. This is basically finding and screening a tenant. They'll handle the marketing, show the property, do referencing checks, and get the tenancy agreement set up. Then they usually hand the reins over to you. This is a much more hands-off option. Besides finding tenants, the agent handles everything during the tenancy: repairs, compliance checks, renewals, and tenant communication. It's ideal if you're not local or just want a more passive investment. Now let's talk costs. I've done the research and I've compared fees from the UK's 15 largest letting agents with what we charge to see how we stack up. On average, tenant find fees from these agencies come in around £547, and their management fees average 13%. By contrast, our in-house letting and management company charges £250 for tenant find and 8% plus VAT for ongoing management. A lot of that is because we are not on the high street trying to take passing trade, instead working with a focus group of serious investors, and we can streamline our operation accordingly. But if you're considering self-managing, remember, you will need to handle all compliance, tenant issues, and maintenance on your own, which can be time consuming. One tip: get your agent instructed before completion. The earlier the better. This gives you the best chance to get a tenant lined up right after you get the keys. We've often managed to get tenants moved in within a week of completion because our team coordinate everything from the start. Timing really does make a difference here. If you timed everything right, you should be ready for viewings as soon as you complete, assuming the property doesn't need any immediate work. In terms of basics, there are a few key things that every UK rental property legally needs to have in place before tenants move in. This certificate is required annually if the property has gas appliances, and it ensures that all gas installations are safe. The EICR report confirms that the electrical systems and installations are safe, and it must be renewed every 5 years. You'll need a working smoke alarm on every floor of the property, test them regularly, and replace batteries as needed. If there are solid fuel burning appliances like a wood burner or coal fire, a carbon monoxide alarm is also legally required, although it's good practice to have one if you have gas appliances as well. Ensure you have enough keys for each tenant to have a set, and keep a backup for emergencies. Without these, your property won't be compliant, which could lead to fines or issues with insurance coverage. Getting these in place ensures both legal compliance and your tenant's safety. So you've got a tenant interested, fantastic. Now let's make sure everything is set up properly before they move in. First, review and confirm the tenant's offer, including the rental amount, move-in date, and any specific terms. Once you've agreed, you're ready to move forwards. Before proceeding, it's essential to reference the tenant. This typically includes credit checks, rental history, and employment verification, giving you confidence they're reliable and financially stable. Once referencing is complete, the tenant usually pays a holding deposit to secure the property while paperwork is finalised. Legally, this is capped at 1 week's rent in the UK. It shows the tenant's commitment and keeps the property reserved for them. Next, draft the tenancy agreement. This contract outlines key terms, rental amount, payment schedule, tenancy length, and each party's responsibilities. Make sure it's compliant with UK regulations. Before the tenant moves in, collect the first month's rent and traditionally a security deposit. Most landlords take a deposit capped at 5 weeks' rent, which must be placed in a government-backed deposit scheme. An alternative to traditional deposits that's now popular is insurance-backed deposit schemes. These offer additional protection up to 8 weeks' rent, covering you for higher potential damages or missed rent payments. This option can be attractive to tenants who prefer not to tie up cash in a standard deposit and can provide extra security for you. Obviously, all of the above, a good agent will take care of for you. Once everything's set up, it's time for you to welcome your tenant and ensure a smooth check-in. Here's what needs to be done to get things off to a good start. Before handing over the keys, complete a detailed inventory. This document records the property's condition and any furnishings or appliances included. The inventory is crucial. It protects both you and the tenant by documenting the property's state at move-in, making it easier to resolve any disputes when they move out. Send a welcome email outlining key information such as emergency contact details, any maintenance request procedures, and general house rules, like waste disposal schedules or parking information. Arrange a time for the tenant to collect the keys, ideally ideally on site, so you can show them around and answer any last-minute questions. At check-in, it's essential to provide certain documents to ensure compliance. These include the How to Rent Guide, which is updated by the government periodically, so make sure you have the latest version. The Gas Safety Certificate, that's if there's gas in the property, and an EPC, Energy Performance Certificate, which gives tenants an idea of the property's energy efficiency. An Electrical Installation Condition Report, if required. A Deposit Protection Certificate. If you took a traditional security deposit, you must provide proof of deposit registration with a government-approved scheme within 30 days. This certificate confirms the deposit is securely protected and outlines the process for any deductions at the end of the tenancy. Take a final walk through the property with the tenant if possible. This gives both of you the chance to verify the inventory together, confirm that everything is in working order, and establish a good rapport. It's a proactive way to address any initial concerns. If applicable, serve any additional notices like prescribed information related to the deposit scheme. This is often required for compliance and helps ensure that you've met all legal obligations from day one. A thorough check-in process sets the tone for a positive tenant relationship and makes your job easier down the line. It's about setting expectations and giving tenants confidence that their new home is well managed. Once your tenant is settled, ongoing management becomes your next focus. Whether you're managing the property yourself or using an agent, keeping things smooth and efficient will make a big difference for both you and your tenant. Let's look at what's involved. With an agent handling management, this process can be fairly hands-off for you. Here's what a full-service management agent typically takes care of. Tenants report issues directly to the agent, who coordinates with contractors to get repairs sorted quickly. They'll also handle routine checks and maintenance, like boiler servicing or electrical testing, to prevent bigger problems down the line. The agent will be your tenant's main point of contact. From minor issues to lease renewals, the agent keeps the relationship professional and responsive, which is key to tenant satisfaction and retention. The legal landscape for landlords changes regularly. A good agent will ensure the property stays compliant with current regulations. Whether it's gas or electrical safety checks, smoke alarms, or changes in deposit rules, they handle these on schedule so you don't have to worry about missing deadlines or updates. If you're handling management yourself, you're responsible for everything: tenant requests, maintenance, and legal compliance. Here's a breakdown of the basics you'll need to manage. Be prepared to respond to tenant issues quickly. This means having a reliable list of contractors like plumbers, electricians, and handymen you can call when things go wrong. Regular maintenance is key to keeping your property in good condition and avoiding unexpected costs. Conduct periodic inspections, ideally every 6 months, to check the property's condition and ensure your tenant is respecting the property. Regular inspections help you catch small issues before they become big problems and show tenants you're committed to maintaining the property. Compliance is one of the trickiest parts of self-management. You'll need to stay up to date with landlord laws and requirements, from safety certificates to property licensing. Remember, non-compliance can lead to fines or legal trouble, so it's important to keep up with any changes. When a tenant's lease is approaching renewal, decide whether to extend it or make adjustments. You'll want to review market rents to make sure you're charging a competitive rate and discuss any changes to the terms with your tenant well in advance. Some additional tips for both approaches: keep good records. Maintain records of all communications, inspections, and repair invoices. This documentation is valuable if disputes arise and can make your job easier if you eventually decide to switch to an agent. The second one, build a positive tenant relationship. Whether you or your agent is the primary contact, treating tenants with respect and responding promptly to issues helps build a positive relationship. Happy tenants are more likely to stay longer term, reducing your vacancy periods and turnover costs. Ongoing management doesn't have to be stressful. With an agent, you'll have peace of mind that it's being handled professionally. If you're managing yourself, staying organised, responsive, and up to date with regulations will go a long way in keeping everything on track. When a tenant decides to move on, it's time to start preparing for a smooth checkout and reletting process. Here's how to handle it step by step. As soon as you receive notice from the tenant, confirm the end date in writing and start planning for the next steps. Ideally aim to have a new tenant lined up soon after the current one moves out to minimise vacancy periods. On the agreed end date, conduct a checkout inspection. This is when you compare the property's current condition to the original inventory taken at move-in. Look for any damage beyond normal wear and tear. If there are issues, you may need to make fair deductions from the tenant's deposit to cover repair costs. Make sure to take final meter readings for utilities and collect all keys from the tenant. If everything is in order, arrange for the return of the deposit within the legal timeframe. If there are deductions, communicate these clearly to the tenant with supporting documentation. Once the property is vacant, assess if any work is needed to make it market ready. Freshen up any areas that need it and ensure everything is in good condition. Begin marketing as soon as possible, either through your agent or by listing it yourself on rental platforms. High quality photos, an accurate description and clear pricing help attract the right applicants. Schedule viewings promptly to maximize exposure to potential tenants. If you have an agent that will handle this for you, if you're self-managing, be prepared to answer questions and present the property well. A well-organized checkout and reletting process helps minimize vacancy times, keeps the property in good shape and makes your buy-to-let investment as profitable as possible. If you're ready to take things further, check out the next video in this series where I'll cover how to grow your buy-to-let portfolio and, just as importantly, how to know when it's the right time to sell.